because he's smart enough not to do it. He knows what he's doing.
Yep.
Lerner, I have a feeling he has some guys who in his crew who said, "Hey, you should get an EPL," and kind of talked him up a little bit, and he didn't look at all the things going on.
I think he did it. I think he loved soccer, and I think he wanted a part of that English Premier League. Like, they even mentioned in the article that, like, for 2 seasons, and I couldn't tell you the 2 seasons off the top of my head, but the point is, he bypassed having a major jersey sponsorship, preferring to go with a
charity.
Local
charity.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly
so
right.
He could have had millions and millions of dollars, but he chose to support a local charity, which is great. But
he lost
those
money.
are millions of dollars that you could use to make those irrational decisions to keep yourself out of the bottom.
I think as you already mentioned, you mentioned it in the text as well, of how this might be a pretty good argument for how Pro Rel will never be a big deal in the United States. And I actually have this in my notes for Garber's State of the League. So I'll bring it up now.
Yep.
I really think that he hinted at we're going to clear 28 teams and probably push to 32.
Yep.
I think we're going to see Pro Rel in Major League Soccer within that core of 32 teams, because now you're going to have the ability to split 2 leagues.
2 leagues, yep.
At 16 each.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
pretty
So
easy.
when you say pro reg, are you talking about a significant, like your TV partnerships, the money that's coming in from those? Are you going to lose that?
I think we're going to see. I think we would see it Americanized.
You called it MLS 1 and MLS 2 or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it'll be Americanized in the sense that
would there be a drop off?
There would be a slight drop off of some kind, but it's not going to be significant like you see.
This has actually been tried in American sports a couple times, and the biggest thing is the Arena League did this. The Arena League had a 1 and a 2, and I don't know if they did relegation. They might have done relegation. They did, yeah. And but there was no the TV contracts. There was no TV contracts. I mean, there was small TV contracts, but not as big as MLS is going to have.
Right.
So it's possible, but I don't know if Americans are going to get behind it as much as Europeans do.
It's a relatively foreign concept.
It is.
I mean, a very foreign concept. I mean, unless you're a soccer fan, or maybe you're a fan of pro basketball in Spain or Germany.
Yeah,
they have pro.
They have that. Yep.
I mean, it's not. It would be a very interesting thing to see Americans have to deal with, like the average American.
Well, like Dave was saying, we'll have to Americanize it, so there'll be there. I don't think it'll be as bad as EPL relegation. I don't think they'll drop. The money situation will not be as huge in MLS as it will be in EPL.
Right.
It can't be.
I agree.
And they're already starting in the lower league, so now there's a USL 1 and USL 2,
Yep,
and the plan is in the next couple of years they're going to go to Pro Rel.
Right.
So I think that's their testing thing, and then, like you said, eventually I think there's going to be an MLS 1 and an MLS 2. And
USL has championship too, right?
They do.
They built it just like England's.
They built it's being built a lot like England's championship. So
from a fan standpoint, that would be so exciting, I think, because look at the United point of view, the Loons point of view.
Yep.
I mean, if you're sitting in the 9th spot all year, man, it makes those games. Okay, maybe you've kind of given up playoff hope in the last month or two of the season, but boy, oh boy, are you fighting for every game just to try and keep yourself out of the bottom.
It also pushes ownership to make those tough decisions on
not to give up,
getting guys and that type of stuff. And they're going to spend more money. And
you're going to find out if the Loons ownership group has as much money as they do, and are willing to use it.
Exactly.
Well, I think willing to use it's the key word.
Yeah.
And use it well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. Because I mean, like Arthur Blank, he's not going to care about relegation. He'll be like, well, just have some more. What is he? Is he Home Depot guy? He's Home Depot.
It's Home Depot.
Yeah. Just open a bunch more Home Depots. It'll be fine. He'll sell some more saws and hammers. It'll be good.
He just take money from Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah.
It's not like they're using it.
Yeah, that's true.
Our owner, he can't sell any more stock. He already did that crap.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
And that didn't look so hot.
No, he can't do that again.
Yeah.
No.
So the Garber interview, let's get into that a little bit.
Yeah, so it was the state of the league. I just took notes from SI's article.
Yep.
And so touch points. He discussed the new playoff format. He expects the format. He didn't tell us what it is, but he expects it to be approved by the owners next week.
Yeah.
And I don't know when that next week is.
Right.
If it's tomorrow or what. But he, it's been hinted at. It's been reported. I think The Athletic had the initial report a week or two ago about how it was going to be ending before the FIFA International.
Yep.
Game, which means it's going to completely change the format. I mean, it's going to be significant.
So they'll have to get rid of the
It would have to be
games,
single elimination.
Single elimination, and they're going to play them quicker than they do now.
They'd have to.
Yeah. It's going to have to be like a couple days off, and that's it. There's
I
no
mean, I
more-
think it would be probably a lot like the NFL, where it's week, this week, a week off.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
Yep. And even something I had saw is that like the early rounds when it first starts, when you get the lower seeds, that they're going to go Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday.
Oh,
Wow.
So just to narrow the field down a little bit.
yeah,
So,
Okay.
that
All
would.
right.
And now I thought one of the interesting things that he mentioned was making whatever they're doing is going to make the early season games as important as the end of season games. And I don't understand if you're trying to make the March, April, May games important. I don't know what you would do, because the only time you get that is when you're doing a table format,
Right.
where
Yeah.
every game matters.
Yeah.
unless they
Playoffs make that end of the season games more important.
unless they go to like a Liga MX format where they have a first half and a second half.
And
That's
that,
true.
And
Maybe.
which we talked about on the podcast a couple months ago was the kind of the partnership with Liga MX. We haven't heard
That's true.
much
You've
about-
got that weird, Liga MX, MLS has been talking about
Yeah.
doing something.
And maybe that's what they're going to do. And maybe that's the next step to getting them to combine leagues.
Yeah, that's our crazy theory that Liga MX and MLS are going to join.
Oh,
Yeah.
Good. I'm not alone in that thought. So
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean,
it's good.
it's possible. I mean,
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
Well, that league's going bankrupt. So
yeah.
Well, and I think both leagues could help each other out.
absolutely,
You know?
absolutely.
But what does that mean for our friends to the north?
The Canadians?
Yeah.
Who gives a shit?
They're starting their own league. Who
Yeah,
cares?
they have
Yeah.
the Canadian
Yeah.
Premier League.
Yeah, Canadian Premier League.
What do they play, like 2 months out of the year?
I don't know. Is it summer that long even?
I don't think so. Or the field like warms up a little bit. They're like, oh, play a bunch of games.
They play them
They
all
get-
at the end of July.
That
Yeah.
pretty much, yeah. No, I shouldn't say that. I'm from the Iron Range. We're pretty close to Canada up there. Hello, Canadian
you have
friends.
moose, you have all that stuff. So then the next point was expansion, which I kind of already addressed.
Yeah.
You've got Cincy coming in next year. You've got Nashville and Miami in 2020.
And Austin.
And
And
Austin,
Austin in
2021.
2021, or maybe, well, no later than 2020.
Right.
Yep.
And so I had I don't know if I brought it up on the podcast, but I had the theory that this is out on the Twitterverse, so
Yeah.
if it ever comes to fruition, there's evidence that I thought of this. That Major League Soccer manufactured the whole Columbus thing.
Okay.
Austin was always going to happen,
Yeah.
and Precourt was always going to be the owner of Austin. But they manufactured this whole thing to get Columbus to figure out you have a team
Yeah.
and you have a support base that can support this team. Get out and support your team.
Yes.
Because reality is, everything just came together a little bit too easy. I mean, all of a sudden, Precourt's like, yep, I'm going to leave. Some lawsuits filed that probably had no grounds legally. And then, lo and behold, an ownership team shows up.
Oh.
And MLS
Magically.
is all okay with it.
Magically.
And so for me, I think some of that, it seemed, and being Garber,
Mm-hmm.
There's only one Don that is worse than Garber, and he happens to be in Washington, D.C. That's as political as I'm going to get.
Okay. I was going to say Don Corleone. I was like,
He's better.
yeah.
So, being Garber, I can see it. I can just see
Absolutely.
him manufacturing this thing to happen. So that's kind of the sidetrack.
Well, I'm going to say this, and we talked about this before, is that MLS is the 5th league in the United States.
Yeah.
Whatever you can do to get people to kind of, see things that are going on.
I'd argue this.
I would too.
Whether
but
it's a 5th league or not, I mean, there's no reason. I mean, can't they should be able to get
4th for sure.
4th?
I think
mean-
they're above hockey at this point.
Oh, I don't know about that.
in most
That's
parts of the
fighting
country
words,
they have
so-
to be. I'd say
Yeah.
maybe not here in Minnesota, but in most parts of the country they are.
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
put them ahead of hockey for
Okay.
sure.
Yeah.
All right.
But I mean, that being said, I mean, why there's no reason they can't grow to the size of, say, the NFL or NBA. In that 30 to 32 range. It's a big enough country.
Again, I'll say this. They've done a good job of growing at a rate that's good for them. They haven't grown too
It's been
fast.
sustainable.
Sustainable.
It can't happen overnight. You can't jump from 20 to 30.
And I think
overnight,
that
obviously.
what Garber's saying and doing these couple of years of expansion will work.
Yeah.
You can't just bring in a bunch of teams and then try to do it.
Well, and the thing is if you look at those teams, Austin is the only Western Conference team.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have an imbalance.
Well, they're going to have to realign.
So let's see.
There'll be a realignment.
It's 24 next year with Cincinnati, and then
So it'll be even.
at 24, and then by
So then in 2020 you're gonna have a +2 on
Nashville
the East
and Miami.
because Nashville and Miami, and then 2021.
20.
So a little supporters culture inside knowledge, and I'll share it because I'm that
Yeah.
guy. The rumor out there is that Chicago's moving west. So
That wouldn't surprise me.
that would give you
Moving
your balance.
into the Western
They would
Conference.
move from the Eastern Conference to the Western Conference.
And actually, that's a good thing because I think that when you look at Minnesota, Chicago,
Rivalry.
KC, you get that whole
Yeah.
rivalry triangle type of thing going on.
And I can't believe how much. I mean, on Facebook, I've noticed Chicago Fire supporters hate Minnesota,
Yes, they do.
Yeah,
and it's like, I mean, of course we're 2-0 against them,
yeah.
but it's incredible. So I think it's a good rivalry. I mean, John and I went down in 2017,
Yeah.
and I would do that every year
Yep.
for sure.
They do have a shitty stadium.
Yeah, what did we see? Was
Well,
it
yes.
2014?
We saw 2014. We saw them
Impact,
against
Montreal Impact.
in the Impact, yeah. And they got rid of one of the best features of that stadium was the Bud Light party deck
Right.
in the back where Johnny almost get hit in the head with the soccer ball because he was sitting there.
I mean, it's you want to protect your belongings
Yeah.
when you're traveling to the stadium.
Yeah.
Exactly. You said it.
It's
I mean, I think
terrible.
It's not a good
I
location.
think the
Yeah.
state, yeah, exactly. The stadium's fine. It's soccer specific. It's
Yeah,
a
the
nice
stadium
little
itself is
stadium.
okay.
It's a nice field.
I mean,
but
it's not great.
The location.
It's concrete
is-
square.
The
You know, it's-
fact that they bust us from the light rail
Yeah.
to the stadium and said, no, we don't want you walking through here. I'm like, that's kind of interesting. It's not that far. I'm like, well, we have to take a bus.
Bridgeview's not the best place, but
No.
Yeah. I mean, East Cicero is a questionable area
Yeah.
of Chicago.
yeah.
I mean, with that said, it's not awful. I would do it every year.
Question though, if they move to the west,
Yeah.
will there be a rivalry with Chicago? Do you think that'll happen? Because we really haven't seen that with KC.
There's one now with Chicago.
Really?
I
Even
think,
there is.
Okay.
I think that it's an interesting. It's like the I-94 rivalry. It's easy.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're intruding in on their territory by
Yeah.
claiming Wisconsin.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they. Well, and the fact that they can't draw anybody for attendance-wise,
True.
it helps. I think the noise that we made there in 2017 got to some people. I still remember I was about 10 feet from the